instead of reintegrating his psyche discorporates. And because of that, everyone on the planet sort of loses cohesion. Okay? So the TV series is optimistic. The movie is pessimistic. They both have endings and they both have a meaning. Which meaning do you prefer? Miyazaki did the same thing with Nausicaa. In Nausicaa, in the movie, she's sort of this Christ-like savior figure who saves everyone. But in the manga, which was finished long after the movie was made, Miyazaki went in a very different direction, and she became Shiva, destroyer of worlds. You know, and it's like Krishna and Oppenheimer in the bomb. And she's willing to take out an entire, she's willing to commit genocide. You know, and so you go, ooh, both totally legitimate. How do you want it to end? Does that answer your question? Cool. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, you and then you.
Alright, I know that there's like you do so many characters, so many voices for both anime and English. What is the big difference overall? Like, how different is it from being alone in a booth to being with other people in one big booth and working off of each other?
Those other people are always playing on their iPhones. They're always like playing words with friends in between stuff. I think there's a lot more actually, I have a whole podcast episode about this, about what it's like. I just released it pretty recently, about what it's like recording in all these different environments. But the main thing with anime is that they're both stressful and enjoyable in different ways. Anime is, for me, enjoyable because I can see the animation. And so I get to enjoy the actual story in front of me. And when I've done a good performance, we can just play it back and it's done, right? I mean, they have to mix it and put it on a DVD, but other than mixing and polishing, the performance is there, it's done, it works, awesome. And so there's this real feeling of satisfaction when I feel like we've got it. But it's really stressful because you have all this technical requirements on you to match lip flap and the timing and everything else, and it can get a little mind-numbing. But you have something to see. In animation, in domestic animation, it's completely different. In domestic animation, you've got no limitations on you technically. But you've got all these people next to you waiting for you to do a good job. You've walked in the room with Frank Welker and Jeff Glenn Bennett and, you know, whoever else. I mean, when I went into Scooby-Doo and Frank Welker is sitting across from me doing Fred from Scooby-Doo, and I'm going, I better be good, because that's Megatron sitting across the way from me, you know, like you better not mess up, because there's stuff going down here. So it's a different kind of pressure. You're on stage with a bunch of other really good actors, and you better be able to play Major League Baseball with them. But you don't have any technical restrictions. You can fart around with them. You can work off of each other. You know, it's much more immediate in the moment. So most American actors prefer that immediate in the moment working with your other fellow actors, even if they might intimidate you a little bit. They'd rather be in that environment. Most American actors find the anime environment far too technically restricting, and they don't like it. I'm not one of those actors. I don't care. Neither is Steve Bloom. Steve Bloom doesn't care. He could go either way too. Either way is fine as long as the story's cool. You know.
In being in the studio with everyone else, if you decide to put a little emphasis here or change the way it's said here, then the animation is done that way. And it's almost like you kind of inspired the way the show kind of went almost. Because I've heard like other people from like Avatar the Last Airbender, where they added in parts for the character Sokka because with the voice actor added an ad lib.
Yes,
so
yes.
it's like you have your own little creative add to that.
Yes, it is true. Doesn't happen that often, but it will happen sometimes that in domestic animation you can sort of add in some of your own flair. It tends to happen more with comedy, which is why it's Sokka and not Aang, you know, or Korra. I would imagine, I could be wrong, but I would imagine with the more dramatic characters there's less improv. With the comedy characters, comedy's hard. Death is easy, comedy's hard. The comedy characters, they want a spontaneity, and it's sometimes very hard to script spontaneity. And so then they'll depend on the actors to add that spontaneity in. So yeah, you have impulse there. But when I was playing Red Arrow in Young Justice, when I was playing Electro in Spectacular Spider-Man, when I was playing Multiple Man in the X-Men, when I was playing Ant-Man in Avengers, I'm not improvising. The director is telling me what he wants, sometimes down to the millimeter of what he wants in performance, and I'm doing my best to give it. So yes, the animators are going to animate to my performance, but there's already been a lot of people in the production line who think it should go a certain way, and I'm helping facilitate that. Does that make sense? The only time you get a lot more of that improv stuff is when it's comedy or when it's a feature film and they've got celebrities. So like on Road to El Dorado, because they had Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh, and those two guys, wow, they are some of the most competitive actors on the planet. And you put two of them in a studio together, they're going to spend the entire time trying to one-up each other. And you can hear it in the dialogue. There's one in the beginning of the show, they're sword fighting, and he goes, ha 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 ha, you fight like my sister. I fought your sister. You know, like, they're totally trying to, I fought your sister, that's a compliment. Oh, blackguard. And you can hear them sort of go, oh, I'm going to get him back, you know. They totally didn't write that. That's totally them messing with each other, right? So, yes, but it's not that often. Does that make sense? Yeah, and sometimes I get to add stuff in anime. I did in .hack. I came in for Lord Balmung, and it was at the end of the TV series, and there's all the .hack characters having a party, and my character is looking over, and the line was something dumb like, wow, this party's really swinging. It was like, what the hell is this? It's like, what is this line? And it was strange, and I said, what is this, what are you trying to do with this line? And they said, we want to make Balmung sound like a dork. Like he's trying to be cool, but he sounds awkward. And I go, oh, I got it, roll it. Right? And so, beep, 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 this shindig is the bomb diggity. One take. They're like, bam, done, okay. So it happens. I did it in Haruhi Suzumiya. There's one point where Miss Asahina, who has very large tracts of land, was doing something and they were jiggling. And in the Japanese, he goes, they're huge, you know, like, they're big. And I was like, oh, we can do better than that. And so she jiggles and I go, supersize me. So, yeah, I mean, when I can, I float that stuff in there, you know, because it works. So, you were next.